All rise.
I want viewers watching my show to believe in themselves.
Judge Hatchett is compelling.
I was not the first one to throw a walk.
Let me just tell you what you just said.
Compassionate.
I really enjoy being a judge. Now I am touching people who I will never know I touched.
She's powerful.
You should have never let them walk out of your life when she was 3.
And she's on the bench.
Don't get me preaching up in here today.
Right.
You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. Casey Johnson is suing Freddie Mills in the amount of $1,500. Mr. Johnson claims he loaned his friend money to start a candle business and says he was never repaid or given any of the products.
Hi, Mr. Johnson, you are suing Mr. Mills and you're saying that he owes you some $1,500.
That is correct.
Seems to be a real dispute. You say it was an investment, you say it was a loan and he should pay you back. How do you all even know each other?
Well, Your Honor, several years ago, roughly 8 years ago, Mr. Mills and I were recuperating in a hospital. I had had a skiing accident, and Mr. Mills was recovering from a knee injury. So we were both in the hospital roughly 3 weeks, I think, and we got to know each other very well.
We grew very close in the hospital to the point where I really felt like I trusted Mr. Johnson. Flash forward to 3 years after, so that would have been 5 years ago.
Okay.
We saw each other in church. Well, we reconnected. It was good to see him again because I felt like he was someone that I was really close with, and I guess in some ways sort of a mentor. He and I went out to coffee. We talked there, and he discussed how his life had been going. Everything had been going pretty well.
All right, so what were you doing at that time?
So when I left the hospital, well, I was in the hospital actually, Mr. Mills and I had talked, and he was in a dead-end job. I'm actually an attorney at law. I was a little bit tired of litigating. Mr. Mills wasn't happy with his job, and so we thought maybe starting a small business would be a good idea.
Interesting. All right. So whose idea was it to start a small business?
Well,
whose idea?
Your Honor, I had been planning on starting a candle business.
Okay, when you mean a candle business, tell me what that means.
Sure. So I make the candles in my own home. I buy the wax myself, the wicks, everything, and I was planning to make it more of a sort of a boutique thing, something where I was going to farmers markets and I was selling the candles, and it really worked.
You don't have a store and you don't have an online presence, but you are selling these candles very successfully at flea markets. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
So 3 years ago, he actually gave me the seed to start my business.
And how much was that?
$1,500.
$1,500. Okay, at that time, what was your understanding?
This is a matter of somewhat semantics. I didn't give him, I loaned him $1,500.
Was there a written document?
Your Honor.
There wasn't a written document.
There wasn't a written document? Wait a minute.
There was no written document.
And you're an attorney?
Well, Your Honor, because I had been involved in large cases, this was a small business, so I didn't feel that there was a need for a writing. I knew Mr. Mills. I knew he was a good person. I had seen him in church. We were then operating, I thought, under the covenant, what Your Honor is very familiar with, the covenant of good faith and fair dealing.
All right.
So I assumed that Mr. Mills would operate his business.
So it's your understanding that you were giving this money, this $1,500, to Mr. Mills as a loan.
As a loan for startup capital.
Startup capital.
Your Honor,
why wouldn't that be seen as an investment?
That's totally.
It was an investment. It was a loan. I looked at it as a loan and an investment because I saw this young, bright gentleman. I saw Mr. Mills. He was energetic and he had a real passion for this business, and that's why I loaned him the startup.
Your Honor,
what's your understanding?
If I may, Mr. Johnson, he sent me a letter afterwards. And in that letter, he said, "I'm doing for you what I wish someone had done for me."
How did you interpret that?
Well, it was as a partner. It was as a friend, as someone that I'd grown close to.
So let me see this letter. Do you dispute that you sent him this letter?
No, there's no dispute, Your Honor.
Okay.
It's very clear in the letter, Your Honor. He says, your hospital partner, meaning someone I can trust, someone I look to, not someone who's going to try to pull something like this.
Well, it says, great seeing you in church. I think your business plan is solid. I like how you're starting at small grassroots. Here's the check for $1,500. I'm doing for you what I wish someone had done for me. And you signed it, your hospital partner, KC. P.S. Can't wait to get a candle.
Coming up on The Verdict with Judge Hatchett.
Things are going south for the business. And the first thing that he said to me, Your Honor, was not, can I get my money back? It was, I still haven't gotten my candles yet.
Your Honor, that was a joke. I mean, honestly, that was a joke.
And later,
Did you proceed to change the tire on the car?
Yeah, I used to work at my uncle's car shop. She also checked it. It's fine.
It looked fine, but later we got another flat.
Oh my goodness.
closed captioning provided by. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. The Verdict with Judge Hatchett is back with the case of Casey Johnson, who is suing Freddie Mills for an unpaid loan.
I think we're getting hooked up on the word partner. I was never his partner. I was simply a friend who was loaning him money
Your Honor,
so he could start his own business.
What
we
I will say,
we were hospital partners,
what
which
I
is
will
what I
say,
lay out in the letter.
If I may, I felt that you were someone that I could trust. I didn't feel like you were someone who was going to pull some sort of backhanded deal where you're trying to get money out of me now, because something that you knowingly, as a friend, as someone I trust, it was a gift of sorts.
So
it
let's fast
never a
forward.
gift.
So what
Never a
happens
gift.
now with the candle business? You get the $1,500. What happens?
Well, for the first year, everything was going great. Like I said, I was going to lots of different farmers markets. I started to sell online as well.
Okay, online.
So I start selling online, and then the second year comes around, which was 2 years ago. At that point, things started to get, well, the orders were moving really, really quickly, which normally is great, right? If you're running a business, you want to have lots of orders. The problem was I had no way of fulfilling these orders. And then I was looking to someone who was a mentor to me, someone who was sure of a different generation, but someone I looked up to.
All right.
And I really felt like he dropped the ball on helping me out.
Your Honor, if I can.
So is this the point you got the $1,500, or you got the $1,500 before you got to the second year, so that everybody's clear?
I got the $1,500 3 years ago.
Okay, all right.
This was at the inception of before his business started.
Yes.
And Your Honor, I'd like to introduce a text exchange between Mr. Mills and I, where I confirmed that he's received my check for $1,500. He responds, as you can see, that he is indebted to me. So
Yeah, don't stiff me, LOL.
don't stiff me. His response is LOL. So I don't know. Again, there's a generation gap between the two of us.
I understand. No, yeah. I go through that with my son sometimes. So let's get to the bottom line. So now the business is going well, and then second year, it's going so well that you can't fulfill the orders. What happened to the business?
Well,
Because I'm going to rule on this in just a moment.
Sure. Well, the first thing I did was I reached out to Mr. Johnson and I said, you know, the orders are coming in too quickly, and I needed his help fulfilling orders. Mm-hmm. Then he said he was too busy. Then I called him. He said he's too busy. Then I tell him that things are going south for the business, and honestly, at this point, I'm not sure if it's going to be able to work anymore. And the first thing that he said to me, Your Honor, was not, can I get my money back? Or what does this mean for us as partners? It was, I still haven't gotten my candles yet.
Your Honor, that was a joke. I mean, that was a joke. And I'd actually like to refer back to his business plan, because what I emphasized in the letters, you can clearly see. I was excited about the fact that he was doing this at a small grassroots level. And as Mr. Mills has already testified, he did great in the market at a small level. But he did something unbeknownst to me, which breached the covenant of fair dealing, which is that he went online and he overextended himself.
So if I can ask,
and he was overwhelmed by the amount of business coming in.
Your Honor,
had he contacted me sooner, I could have possibly given him names of colleagues or given him more mentorship. But he didn't do that.
The point of a mentor is that they guide, they lead someone, right? If I develop a close bond with someone in the most dire of circumstances, Doesn't it make sense that they should give me advice, that they should give me direction in life?
His point, though, is that you waited until it was in the tank to reach out for help, that you were already drowning in these orders, which, you know, for most businesses would be a really good thing. But for you, it was a problem because it couldn't be fulfilled. All right, I'm going to rule on this. What is the relationship like between you now?
I mean, it's amicable. I'm not. I just. I would
You just
like.
want your $1,500
Yeah,
back.
that's great. And I like to sort of teach Mr. Mills a lesson, and that you just can't.
I appreciate him wanting to teach me a lesson, but I don't think that this is appropriate in any way, shape, or form.
Okay,
And
well, I'm going to teach you both a lesson. Mr. Johnson, you're an attorney. You know better. Come on. If it was a loan, you needed to say it was a loan. You know that a loan then needs to have a starting point, when it's expected to be paid, the terms of the payment, what percentage rate, and when it's due. You then should have said, I need something in writing if you really, really thought that you had to pay this back. Or you needed to confirm in writing that this was an investment in this business. So both of you are responsible for this situation, but Mr. Johnson has a bigger burden to prove. But, you know, really, because he should know better, I'm not going to give you the $1,500 back. I'm not. Talk about a lesson. This ought to be a lesson to you because you know better. You know this needs to be in writing. And before you take a dime from anybody for any business, you need to have it in writing and very clear about what it was for. And if you have some inventory and there's some way that you can offset this $1,500, I'm asking you today to make sure that inventory gets over to Mr. Johnson, whether he wants it or not. There's nothing further. Plaintiff's claim is denied.
All rise.
Judge Hatchett has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
The judge was right. I should have been more clear. The next time I'll be more careful.
I'm really happy with the verdict. I thought you were going to be a mentor to me, but I guess not.
Coming up,
So literally 15 minutes later, you have another flat.
She was pulled over because she was speeding a little too much.
I wasn't speeding.
Well, why did he stop you?
closed captioning provided by. You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. Hannah Goddard is suing Mandy Tomino in the amount of $500. Ms. Goddard claims Ms. Tomino improperly changed her flat tire and blames the defendant for the spare getting damaged.
Hannah, I understand that you and Mandy were on a road trip. Where were you all going?
Well, first we were going to a basketball game, and then we were going to go see a pop concert.
A pop concert. Was it just the two of you in the car?
Yes.
What happened?
So I had a flat tire, and I wanted to call AAA, but unfortunately, Mandy didn't want to.
Actually, she did call to AAA. Then they said it's gonna take 2 hours to come here. That's why I said, I can fix it. I know how to fix it.
What was the rush? What was the
Well,
rush?
we had 30 minutes till the concert was going to start, and she didn't want to miss it because we've been waiting
Well, we
months for this.
all didn't want to miss it. That's why she let me do it.
I didn't let her. She's
So-
very persistent.
Well, it's your car, and you could have said no. It sounds like you didn't want to miss the concert either.
I didn't, but I wasn't in a rush like she was.
So if you had waited for 2 hours for the AAA truck to arrive, would you have been at the concert?
No, we would have missed it.
Didn't feel like waiting for the truck. So you did agree with Mandy that she should
Not
fix the
really,
tire.
but she convinced me.
So Mandy, did you proceed to change the tire on the car?
Yeah, and then I had experience. I used to work at my uncle's car shop. Here's like his letter.
Okay.
He says, I know how to do it. That's proved. So I had confidence with it, so I fixed it.
So let me ask you, because there are different kinds of spare tires. So did you have the regular size tire or did you have the small tire?
I would say that was a smaller one. So that was like spare. So I felt like I should try it out and show her a demo.
Okay.
So a little parking lot, I drive for it all. I drove
Okay.
for it all, then it was fine. She also checked it, like she looked at, it's fine.
It looked fine, but later we got another flat.
Oh my goodness.
Coming up,
I was only going 50. I was told that, 60 miles per hour would be an issue.
Who told you that?
My sister.
Your sister. Oh, come on. And you think that's credible evidence in this courtroom? You better go somewhere.
closed captioning provided by. You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. The Verdict with Judge Hatchett is back with the case of Hannah Goddard, who is suing Mandy Tumino for negligence.
From your perspective, what went wrong?
She didn't replace the screw on the tire.
Actually, she was pulled over before we go into the basketball game. Once, like, because she was speeding a little too much.
I wasn't speeding.
Well, why did he stop you? But he gave you a warning and let you go.
Yes.
And it's your sworn testimony that the reason the tire went flat this time was because there was a bolt missing?
Yes, she didn't screw it on tight enough.
I told her maybe we shouldn't go too fast. Maybe we should go like 45 miles per hour, and it would be safe, and we still can make it on time. But she was still...
Yeah, you can't drive on a, I mean, you know, those little donut things, like you
Exactly.
can drive on a regular tire, because they're temporary, and there's only so far you can drive them.
Yeah.
What evidence do you want to share with me?
I wanted to show the fifth bolt missing, and then also proof that I was able to go over 50 miles per hour. She told me not to go 45, but I had done it before and nothing happened.
You've done it on a spare tire, a
But
small spare?
I was only going 50. I was told that 60 miles per hour would be an issue.
Who told you that? I
Well,
have
just
never
going the
heard of
speed
such
limit.
thing in my life. Who told you that?
My sister.
Your sister. Oh, come on. Is your sister a certified mechanic?
No, you're right.
Has she ever changed a tire in her life?
Once.
Once? Listen, and you think that's credible evidence in this courtroom? You better go somewhere. One bolt missing will not cause a tire to come off the wheel. So, the fact that one bolt is missing is not convincing me that caused the problem.
Judge Hatchett's verdict when we return. Promotional consideration provided by. You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett.
So how long did you drive on the spare tire before you had the second flat?
2 hours.
2 hours? All right, well, that's the end of this case. Come on, Hannah. It was your car. It was your responsibility. You made the decision. Mandy offered to change the tire. But there is no way in hell that you can drive on a spare tire for 2 hours at 50 miles an hour and expect the tire to hold up. And thank goodness that you didn't have a blowout of this tire and lose control of the car and cause a horrible wreck where both of you all could have been hurt, or you could have seriously hurt or killed somebody else. And so if you expect me to award you $500 and make Mandy pay, it's not going to happen, because you didn't exercise great judgment in the situation. I'm not going to hold Mandy responsible in these circumstances, and your claim is dismissed. We'll stand adjourned.
Judge Hatchett has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been dismissed.
I'm sorry this happened. I didn't mean to damage your car.
Well, now I know next time not to drive so quickly on a spare. It's not safe.
This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.